Okay, Tricky. You stay here. I'll go search down there. But I need to help my mom.
I need to help my mom. Welcome back to Senior Gameplay. We're gonna help Tricky help his mom.
My mom looked real bad.
His mom looks really bad. In that dress she wore. Move, Tricky. I'm trying to get on the ladder.
Alright, are we ready for... Oh, this is Hogwarts Does Harry, not Harry Does Hogwarts.
Oh, fuck that. We need some...
kind of bukkake situation.
Ew. We need some Harry Does Hogwarts.
Kinks and themes chosen. Cliches include but are not limited to hapless repair person is seduced by the resident of the castle, wizards gone wild, summer break mischief, gay character tricks straight character of the same gender into sex, hapless character accidentally finds himself in the middle of a debauched situation and ends up joining in Harry Does Hogwarts.
Do it, do it, do it, do it!
Other warnings, sex with an animatedly inanimate object, object insertion,
What?
various bits of other weirdness, and surprise ending.
Okay, this episode's gonna be rated 18 plus if you're gonna read this out. Try not to go too vulgar. But
Try not to go too vulgar, what do you want me to do?
I don't know, like
Censor it?
enough for YouTube.
I don't think YouTube will censor words.
They will do a little thing before the episode though if it gets flagged.
Okay. This is really long.
That's what she said. And that's what Harry said. To Draco.
There was something about it that was just perfect. It was everything he'd ever wanted, ever needed. It was his shelter, his protection. It was sturdy and loyal, never faltering in its defense of those in its care, and he loved it for those qualities. He just never thought he'd ever be lucky enough to have that love returned. The first time it happened was during the hottest part of the summer. So hot, in fact, that everyone involved with the reconstruction project had gone back to Hogsmeade in an attempt to find cool ale, good food, and comfortable accommodations. Everyone but Harry.
Aw, poor Harry.
He stayed behind, deeply reluctant to leave Hogwarts while the castle still looked so defeated, broken. He walked through the corridors, hand trailing along the undamaged bits of the walls as he sought words of reassurance for himself, for the castle, for whomever might be listening.
Okay.
I won't stop, he whispered, pausing to rub at a charred bit of stone, trying to remove the soot from it. I won't stop until you've been healed. I promise. You've always been there for me. He continued, feeling slightly stupid to be speaking out loud to an inanimate stone structure, but unable to stop himself.
Is he gonna fucking sleep with the castle? Is he gonna like put his dick in a glory hole that goes nowhere? It's just like a hole in the fucking castle.
It's just nearly headless Nick on the other end.
Oh god.
The least I can do is be there for you in your time of need. A soft noise reached his ears. It sounded like a sigh of gratitude, though rationally he knew it had to have simply been the wind blowing through a hole in the outer walls. He began to itch all over as the dried sweat that clung to his skin in patches made itself known. With a grimace, he removed his shirt and scrubbed it across the back of his neck, laughing at himself. Guess I'll see if the prefect's bath is still in working order, won't I? There was no reason for him to be speaking out loud, but the sound of a human voice soothed his nerves. The empty castle, though still the only home he'd ever known, and comforting for all that, was slightly too quiet. It seemed to echo with loneliness, even when no sound could be heard. The staircases were perfectly aligned, almost as if they knew his destination and wanted to help him on his way. They better start fucking pretty soon.
I know, right?
He shook off that fanciful thought, knowing...
Just fucking skip ahead.
Alright, let's see.
That was your
That
skip
was
ahead
my
sound
skip ahead
effect.
sound, but I didn't find anything yet.
I'm going over here because I remembered we needed to get the lantern.
Okay, I saw the word cock, so jumping in here somewhere.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, he's in the bath. Floating in sublime bliss, he was startled to feel the jets that lined the bath suddenly turn on. All of the jets seemed to be aimed at him, and after a brief bout of wonder, he relaxed back again and let the water pummel his overtired muscles. That sounds pretty good. He was nearly asleep when the jets slowed and then stopped. All but one. That one jet, which had been barely tickling his toes, picked up power, possibly from the fact it was the only one still working, he thought drowsily. And in seconds, he could feel the water pulsing gently around his bollocks and swirling over his cock.
Oh, wow.
Cracking one eyelid, Harry glanced around guiltily, wondering what sort of pervert he'd be to remain exactly where he was. But it had been ages since his cock had felt the caress of anything but his right hand. His left when he was feeling particularly frisky. So Harry gave a mental shrug and stayed right where he was, eye drifting closed again as he concentrated on the sensation of the water working over him. Oops. He was just getting good and stiff and about to reach down to fondle himself when the feel of something firm and unyielding slid along his calf. Jerking upright, he glanced down at the water, hands stretching along the floor above the sunken bath to find his discarded wand. The madly swirling water, though, made it impossible for him to see anything other than a vague shape in the bath, and he couldn't honestly tell if it was his own leg.
Okay, so somebody's in the bath with him?
I guess.
Blowing water on his bollocks?
Apparently it is so turgid in there that he can't even tell if it's part of his own body. Panic shot through him when whatever had brushed against him returned, this time clamping down around his ankle and pulling his leg forward just as another something latched onto his other leg. He let out a small scream, which did not sound girly in the least, and clutched at the wall behind him. Twisting his upper body, he pulled against the thing shackling him as he strained for his wand. Are we talking actual wand, or is this a euphemism?
I don't know. I don't care.
But whatever had him in its grip kept him far enough away from his wand that all his twisting and stretching proved futile. Turning back around to face the threat head-on, Harry gripped the ledge he was sitting on and began yanking on his bound legs. Okay. Bound legs, not anything else. The only outcome to that bit of madness was strained muscles and a cramp in his left foot. Come on, Harry, fucking get busy. Alright. We're skipping ahead a couple paragraphs because all he's doing is trying to get away.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
A low moan caught Harry unawares, and goosebumps broke out along his skin as the water began to lick along his cocks and all over his bollocks. Also, bollocks is very unsexy for me.
Well.
Slumping backwards, he gave up and began to simply thrust into the sensation.
It is a bit too crass of a term. But it is a term.
Yeah. As he laid there, mind hazy with arousal, he felt the bonds holding his legs pull against them, spreading them. He barely had enough time to wonder at that before something was tickling against his arsehole. Do we want to keep going with this?
Yeah, find something silly, but give it a silly voice, too.
Harry twisted away from it, but instead of merely being tightly imprisoned once more, pipes shot out from behind him and wrapped around his wrist and chest. Held completely captive, Harry could do nothing but feel. Feel the water rushing over his cock and bollocks. Feel something hard and blunt rubbing along his crack, pressing against his perineum.
So is he getting raped by the water?
Yeah, he seems to be getting a combination BJ and rim job from the water. Breath going thin and uneven, Harry willed himself to be calm. But then the damnable pipes lengthened and stretched, and tendrils of nearly liquid metal began to play at his nipples, teasing them and pinching them, until he could only writhe helplessly in the grip of his bonds. Just when he thought he was going to be nothing but the plaything of the castle. And there was no doubt in his mind that it was Hogwarts itself doing this to him. He was bodily lifted and carried through the air to the other side of the bathing pool. This just got really weird.
Mm-hmm.
His upper body was pressed down onto the floor.
Oh shit, that's cool. You missed it.
What?
The reflection of the water, the camera was under the water, so it had this like weird reflection where he
Oh,
was
cool.
upside down on himself.
So he's actually being sexually attacked by pipes, by water pipes, it seems. to
That's why I don't use the prefect's bath on the 3rd floor.
the... Yes. Because of the weird magical rape machine.
I've asked Dumbledore to do something about it, and he just kind of laughs and says, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's one that I use."
The jet that had been shooting water across the width of the bathing pool at him slowed to a stop and then started sucking.
Okay.
The force of the water going into the jet drew his hardened cock towards it. But when it was just about to enter the mouth of the jet, it stopped, the water going calm around him. The The teasing of his nipples turned almost soothing. The pipes holding him so steady began to rub against him in a caress, and the what had to be a pipe had just been teasing along his crack stopped all motion just at the entrance of his arsehole. It was like Hogwarts was waiting for something.
Could you do this in Hagrid's voice?
Probably not. Probably not. What's Hagrid sound like? You're a wizard, Harry. It's not gonna be good.
He sounds a bit like the Warpstone.
Okay.
Warpstone X Shrek.
Oh, yeah. Warpstone X giant rock eater from Neverending Story. Alright, let's see.
I'm the Warpstone of Curzora Palace.
Mind going clear enough for actual thought, Harry realized with an intuition he hadn't known he possessed that Hogwarts was waiting for his permission. And it was a question he wasn't sure he could answer.
What the fuck is this?
He'd never been in a position like the one he was currently in, obviously. But he'd also never engaged in any sort of sex with anyone other than Ginny?
Ginny.
And even that had been more fumbling and heavy petting than actual sex. The one time they'd gone all the way, Harry had come so fast he'd embarrassed himself. And he knew, though he'd taken the time to help Ginny.
Ginny, yes.
Ginny. I don't know why I always have trouble with that.
You've seen the movies. I mean,
Yeah.
That should be the final clarification.
Yeah, yeah.
Her name is Ginny.
He'd taken the time to help Ginny along with his fingers, so she'd been left deeply dissatisfied. But it wasn't like Hogwarts was a bird who could have feelings of that sort, was it? After all, Hogwarts was acting more like a man than a woman. What with all the poking around at Harry's arse. Closing his eyes, Harry took a moment to truly think about the situation. And with all the rash, rushing to judgment he was known for, decided to take a leap. What could it hurt? No one would ever know, and maybe Harry would learn some new tricks. Swallowing uncomfortably, Harry opened his eyes and glanced around, feeling foolish as he directed his next words to the non-working tap he turned on earlier. Give my permission? So suddenly it jolted him. The pipes holding Harry in for position jerked him forward. And whether it was luck or good angle control, his cock was thrust directly into the jet that had been pleasuring him earlier. Only now it was sucking again. Sucking rhythmically, as the rest of the pipes redoubled their efforts to pleasure him. His nipples had never been so worked over in his life. And he nearly screamed as the metal over them turned abrasive and scratched at the sensitive nubs before turning smooth and soothing.
There are rusty 1,000-year-old pipes.
Yeah.
Fucking Harry Potter.
Harry, you are gonna have some bad shots you need to get.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while. You're gonna be bruising.
Jeez. Next time on CNA Gameplay.
Next time on CNA Gameplay, we talk about the pipe in his arse.
Or maybe we can just stop talking Harry Potter fan fiction and talk about the game that we're supposed to be playing. I don't know. This is gonna be one weird upload.